Hello and welcome to the Success Secret podcast with your host Hussein Talib. I am excited to introduce you to a series of conversations with some of the most successful and inspiring individuals from various industries. My aim is to dive into the stories behind their success and explore the knowledge, strategies, habits, mindsets, and wisdom that have propelled their success. Each episode of the Success Secret podcast will feature a different guest who will share their unique journey, the challenges they faced, and the lessons they have learned along the way. I will also be covering topics from entrepreneurship and innovation to leadership and personal development. Whether you are an inspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned business professional, or just someone looking to improve your life, the Success Secret podcast is for you. My goal is to bring you valuable insights and inspiration that will help you achieve your own success in business and life. So get ready to learn and be inspired. The Success Secret podcast starts now. In this episode of the Success Secret podcast, I have with me Ryan Johnson to talk about the business growth blueprint, how to grow your team and profits. Ryan is the founder and CEO of Three Sparrows Executive Services. As a business coach and fractional COO, he helps businesses empower their team members to grow from clock punchers to owners and 10x their personal and business success. Ryan brings a unique and diverse operations and leadership skill set to small businesses from his college and professional baseball career and higher education executive leadership experience. He has a passion to help CEOs 10x their business and life through strategic executive operations leadership. So Ryan, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Hussein. It's a pleasure being here today with you.
Awesome to have you. So this is the Success Secret podcast. Before we dive into the topic of business growth blueprint, I want to know what is success to you and how do you see people around you have certain misconceptions of success?
Yeah, it's a great question. I just was posting about that earlier this week, actually. So it's a great thing. It's top of mind for me. It's always top of mind for me because, of course, everybody wants to have financial success. They want to grow their business, and those are great things. But to me, the most important metrics for success are how you treat people and how you grow the people around you, how you influence them for good, and how do you help them grow their career. And in turn, they will help you grow your business. And so I love win-win situations. So when a business is really developing their people, I think that is the highest metric for success.
Definitely, that's very important because eventually it is, whether in life or business, it is about the people in general.
Yes, absolutely. It's relationships. I believe we were created to do life together, and we're always better together than just by ourselves. And I was a baseball coach for so many years, and you realize that when you're a part of a team, whether you're playing it or coaching a sport, it's just like in business. You have to create a team and work together. And if you trust each other and work together, then everybody's going to win.
Let me know the quick story behind what made you want to go from being a baseball coach to like what you are doing now and basically a business coach. So
Yeah.
is there a
Yeah.
difference between the two, do you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting journey for sure. It's pretty unique. All I wanted to do when I was little was to play baseball. I just loved the sport, fell in love with it, and wanted to be a Major League Baseball player here in the U.S. And so I worked really hard to do that, and I got the shot. I got the opportunity to be selected to go play, but I didn't get selected. And so I got selected into a different league. It's a professional league, but it was a different league. So I enjoyed playing professional baseball here for about 5 years and all over the United States. And then I knew that was coming to an end. And so I got a coaching job, a college baseball coaching job with the college that I played at. And then that just morphed and kept going. I thought, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a baseball coach the rest of my life. This is great. But being a baseball coach in the U.S. doesn't pay very good, but it doesn't give you much time for family either. It's a very intense job. You work a lot of hours. And so I knew something should be different, and I wasn't quite sure. So then I moved over to the other side of the college campus and started recruiting students, and then I got promoted up into the executive leadership roles. So I did that for 12 years, and I thought, this is what I'll do the rest of my life. But then I felt like the Lord was moving me into a different place, a marketplace, out into the marketplace, and I wanted to bring my skill set of coaching and executive leadership into the marketplace to help people, small business owners specifically, to grow their business, because I have a lot of friends that have small businesses. Of course, in the United States, it's about 90% of the businesses are small businesses. And so I really had a passion for helping the underdog, the people that don't have just millions and millions of dollars to work with. And I thought, that's what I'm used to. I'm used to working with small budgets in the places that I've worked. So I want to use my skill in a very strategic way to help them get ahead and get what they need. So I never aspired to be doing what I'm doing today. It just kind of happened that way with my different skill sets that and experiences over my life. And now it's time for me to try something new with this.
Expanding a business and growing in the business, there
Mhm.
are multiple factors I would say into go into that, but you are a big part of it, as we're talking about, is the people of it. But what is, let's say, the first, let's say, roadblocks that are facing a business that is going or looking for the next level of their story?
Yeah, it's a great question. The main roadblock is going to be themselves, the business owner, and it's hard for them to admit that, because when business owners start their business, they have a great idea, they have a lot of energy, and they just start producing the service or the product, and they don't really, most of them don't take time to set up the actual operations framework, so they know, when should I add somebody, when should I let go of certain responsibilities and delegate it to somebody else and hire somebody, how do I hire them strategically to keep the profit margins big and moving the business forward. I just typically don't think about that. And business owners are typically very visionary. And so they see the end goal really, really well, but they're not real interested in the in between. And so that's probably the typical roadblock. And that's hard because you want to empathize with them and not say, hey, you're doing it all wrong. Like, I get it. It's hard. I've been in an executive leadership role, the right hand, on the executive leadership team at a college for so many years. I know it's hard. So I can really empathize with them. And so I come in and try to be their partner and really um, ask what they need, make sure I don't come in and just try to change things up too much. But that's the main roadblock. So I really try to understand where they're coming from.
Definitely. Like sometimes we think that we want to do everything. Sometimes we kind of don't have enough trust in the people that we bring in. So, like, speaking of that, what is the most important, let's say, criteria or characters in the people who are? I heard a video the other day talking about A plus people, A people, B people, C people. So you want to
Mm.
bring the A plus people. These type of people are like they don't, like, I think from my own experience, they don't need like experience or training. They already know what they do, so they jump right in and start doing what they do best. So how we make sure that we can bring these type of people and actually keep them, I guess, maybe as
Yeah.
long as possible.
Yeah, retain them for sure. To me, it starts with culture. You have to set up a respectful culture, a culture that everybody that the owner and everybody in the company wants to make each other better. And that's going to help that's going to help attract the A plus players, and also keep them, because yeah, people want good salaries. I get that, but that wears off over time. If someone's not respected well and they're not brought into the team really good, you can pay them a lot of money, but that's going to wear off pretty quick because nobody likes to be disrespected and not listened to. So if you develop a culture of development and support and listening and encouragement, training and developing those types of things, people will take less money to come into a supportive environment. And and most people lead with the top dollar, say, well, I have to pay him this much to get him here. And then when they get him there, they can't keep him because the culture is not good. So that would be, I always talk about culture when it comes to recruiting and retaining great employees.
So, and also they have like, they have to kind of maybe be in the same alignment with the business owner vision or the business vision. So that's very important.
Absolutely.
These
Mhm,
kind of things are very important. But
mhm.
can you give us some example where you have shifted the company that you have worked with in a day-to-day basis in your with them?
Yes, yes. So, my property management client that I had last year, they had so this is a classic example of not really sure what they wanted, what they needed. They reached out to me and they thought all they needed was a policies and procedures manual.
Mm.
And the more I started talking with them and listening and asking questions, we realized that what they needed was executive operations leadership help. And so I said, I can help with that. So we kept the conversation moving. And so then the next goal was, okay, well, let's start with the policies and procedures manual, and we'll go from there. So that was a good introductory contract. And then once that got done, they said, okay, now we need your help to make sure this gets done, that our people can execute this. And so that brought us into a whole nother discussion of, well, let's start from scratch. Mission, vision, let's look at all of that. Let's make sure we understand what everybody's doing currently and if it's effective or not. And so we went down that road. So they knew at that point, okay, we need some help here because they had 10 different entities under one company and they only really liked two of them and they didn't really want to do the other eight. And so we set out a strategy to peel back the other eight so they could actually optimize the two entities and make more money and work less hard. That's why I love the grow more, risk less tagline that I have in my business. That's the whole goal. Let's stay focused. And so they got focused. I helped them get really focused, and they had to make some tough decisions. But now their life is back to where they wanted it to be to begin with, and it was a great, successful leadership contract for me.
Yeah. So speaking of when we talk about 10xing the business, so for example, making, for example, here 1 million, so we want to 10x that to 10 million. Like, is it as we are talking about here about certain things, SOPs and all of the cultures and the visions and the alignment between the owner and the employees and having A plus employees, or is it about the mindset, for example, of the owner and the employees alone, or is it a combination of all these things? How a company can 10x and make an 180 leap in 1 year, for example, in your experience, do you think?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it is all the above. There's never just one thing that you have to do. It has to be a combination of things. So has to be a strong mission and vision that will attract A plus players. You have to have a great culture to keep them. So that's maximizing your people. So my framework are the three P's. I've modified the P's of operations that are out there. So people, processes, and productivity are my three P's. I focus hard on maximizing the people, and then teaching everybody to create great strategic plan, great strategic plan, and then SOPs, and then to be productive to really how to execute that plan. So that's my framework to do that. It encompasses everything that you just said. Um, but so when you do that, it creates a framework that you can grow in a healthy way. In other words, it's scale your business. Typically, when people think about growing their business, it's just let's just put new customers in at the top, and then everything's going to be great. Well, if you get real top heavy with customers at the top, but you don't have a foundation at the bottom of great operations of people knowing what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it, and how they're supposed to do it without everybody coming to the business owner, then it can grow. And then the business owner can sit back strategically with the executive team and go, okay, we're maxed out in these areas. We know because we've charted everything. Now it's time to add somebody and we can actually take on more customers in a healthy way. So it's like building a home. You have to have a strong foundation to scale it up. If you don't, it's going to crumble pretty quickly.
Definitely, that's very important. So your framework includes people,
Mhm.
processes, and productivity.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So generally, when we talk about people, okay, human beings, that's one. Processes, SOPs, that's very important. We have to have some kind of a standard for the normal standardization of business that is going to run every day. But productivity, like how when we talk about productivity, some of us might not feel be in the mood. Some might not feel like working. Some might come with an accident in the morning. So
Yeah.
this thing is like very unpredictable, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
So do you agree with that?
That's right. It's the hardest part of the equation. It's I say it is the hardest. However, if you don't do the people right, if you don't get the people development right, you'll never get the productivity part right. So it is the hardest part, and it's the secret sauce, but it does start from the beginning too. So once you develop the people and you build trust with them, and they trust you, you trust them, they have their expectations down, then we can really hold them accountable appropriately. So a lot of business owners, and baseball coaches, quite honestly, any type of coach or military personnel, they think the way to get things done is just to yell a lot, yell loud, and be mean to them so that they'll do it, right? And that's one way to do it, but to me, it's not a sustainable way because no one likes to be treated that way. And so, in my opinion, you have to set those great standards, but you also you set the standards, but you let them own the standards. So they come from clock punchers to owners. So clock punchers, they just show up every day and say, "Tell me what to do, I'll do it, and I'm out of here. I just want to get a paycheck and go home." Owners go, "Okay, yeah, I'm here to get a paycheck, but I want to be the best person I can be to have the company grow. So maybe I can grow within the company." It's a win-win situation. That's how owners think, and so they want to be owners. So when you allow them to set the goals, and you say, "Hey, this is a standard. Now, how are you going to get there? How are you going to get to that standard?" They take ownership of that and they go, "Okay, I'm going to make the commitments every week. I'm my own boss here, and I'm going to come in and do it." And then if they don't, there's healthy ways to say, "Well, tell me why. Tell me what happened." "Well, I got an accident on the way home or away to work today, or I got sick, last night and I just couldn't wake up. I was so sick." Like, listen to them because life happens. You know that. And so if we could be about 90% strong every week and people are hitting their commitments 90%, at least, or even at the most weeks, we're going to be in good shape. And so I think it's all about listening, but also about empowering them to set their own commitments every week so they own them. And then they come in ready to go instead of going, "Oh, well, my boss is making me do this," that type of thing. So we have to get on the same page and know how to say, "No, you made that commitment. What needs to happen next week to come back and make that happen?" So it's an art form, and that's what I learned from being a coach. I've learned the wrong way, and then now I feel like I'm practicing the right way.
Yeah, cool. So you mentioned it's an art form, but there is an element of maybe science to that, like because, like for example, also some certain things that should be clear for the employees in the beginning. So when an
Yeah.
employee comes and they want to be the owner or think of themselves as the owner, like
Mhm.
they should know that this company has some kind of a future for growth. Like if you are
Yeah.
just a regular employee, you would go to a next step of senior, and then you will have certain steps being VP or VP or whatever the names of these positions are, right? So that's very important that from the beginning you have this or understand that there is opportunity for growth and personal growth within the business, not just something that not planned for. I guess that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the expectations. If an employee comes in, they should be interviewing the company just like the company's interviewing them. Like they have to be, unless they're in a desperate situation, they need a job. There should be some selective hiring there and make sure all the expectations are up front, and there's a plan for growth. There's a plan for developing the employee, and then the employee needs to make a commitment to say, "Yes, I agree with that, and I'm going to do that." And the other science part of it is in the weekly meetings. People hate meetings. I hate meetings that don't go well, but I love great meetings. You have to have meetings every week that allows people to see the goal and to make commitments to hit those goals next, or at least get them closer to that goal next week. And then it's their responsibility to bring their work back basically and say, this is what I did.
Yep.
And then if they didn't meet the goal, okay, well, tell us why. What happened? What do you need from us? Was there something that just didn't work? You know, how do we do that? But there's a science. The science comes in with the weekly meeting. Like there's typical agenda items on that meeting to make sure everybody understands what we're doing and what we need to do. There's no negotiation about that. And that should be made known up front. And then the art form comes in when they don't do it and maybe they're losing motivation. Then we have to really ask the right questions. We have to listen well, and then we have to be stern sometimes and say, well, do you still want to be here? Is this still your goal? Because if it is, then this is what needs to happen. So I think that's a better way than just docking their pay right off the bat or firing him right away or something like that. So that's the art form, but it's definitely some science with that art form.
Yeah, I like what you said lastly here, that sometimes good employees, they could like lose some kind of interest in the business. Maybe they are motivated and hungry in the beginning, but at certain times maybe they feel for whatever reason, whether it's sometimes money, maybe not, whatever, more respect or whatever, or more recognition or whatever it is the reason. That's the idea of like what's going on, what's happening,
Right.
what do you need from us more? Maybe these type of things or questions that are very, very important. But speaking of also meetings, usually meetings from my experience are useless. So sometimes you could like cut maybe at least 50% of them by simply sending an email. So, so
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, if you have too many meetings well, I'll just say this. Yes, that's a great point. There are definitely some meetings that will be cut down through email for sure. But a meeting should never happen if it doesn't have a good goal and it doesn't have a good agenda. And I don't go to meetings unless they have good goals or agendas because they're a waste of time. Typically, they turn into gripe sessions. You know, people are just mad and they just want to talk about stuff and no one's willing to change anything. That's a waste of time, and that's the other place you have to be stern about it and say, we got to give you a framework here of everybody needs to know how to communicate in that way, because we all have to be motivated. But you also said too, you know, people do. I mean, interests change, goals change, people change, and so if you're typically seeing some poor behavior from some people, let's just start from the beginning. Hey, how are you doing? What's going on personally? Are everything good? What's your goals now? Have they changed? And if they ask why, I can say, well, your output has changed. Your attitude has changed. So I'm curious what's going on. And a lot of times you can change things pretty easily that way. But you typically will not get someone to open up if you just start laying into them and being mean to them. So
definitely, yeah. The days of feeling are gone now. People are more aware of things or more opportunities, though there are some certain things. But I do believe in toughness, or I would
yeah,
say tough love, but not
yep,
like killing. That's
yeah,
you
I
wanna
do
support
too.
your employees, you wanna educate them, you wanna make them learn more and more, whether from your own experience or getting knowledge from somewhere else, courses or training programs or whatever to develop. Even if that means they might quit and go somewhere else, eventually it's helping other people. So that's very important. You should take care of employees in general, in every aspect that a business can. So, what is the worst advice and what is the best advice that you have ever received in regards to this that what we are talking about here?
That's a good question. Um, Probably let's start with the worst advice. The worst thing that I've observed in my time from leadership and business leaders is people that say owners and leaders that just say, "I hired you to do a job, go figure it out." That's probably the worst advice that I've seen from people, or the worst thing that I've seen from people, because that's not a supportive. Now, you're not going to tell them every little thing. I get that, but support them. Listen to them if they need different resources. Challenge them and say, "Well, why do you need different resources?" Like it's your job to, as a business owner, to staff and support your team so they can win. It's kind of like on a baseball or football team. If you just bring in a team and say, okay, we got to go win that game and play them, but we're not going to give you any equipment. We're not going to teach you, train you, anything. I know you know how to play the game. We drafted you to come play, but we're going to organize you as a team. We're just going to make you just go figure it out. I mean, that wouldn't work. So why would that work in a business? So that's the worst. The best is, and I always go back to this. My college baseball coach is still a great mentor to me today, and he uses an old movie quote that says, "Adapt, improvise, and overcome." And he would always say that as a leader, but he would always be there for us. So he would also be adapting, improvising, and overcoming with us and teaching us how to do that. So that's the opposite of the bad advice, right? Like, be supportive and get to know your people and love on them in the proper way. Don't baby them. Be tough on them when they need to be tough on, but give them the support that they need to grow and keep them accountable once they make those commitments.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Success Secret podcast. Really insightful topics. We talked about how to grow a business and with the blueprint that includes people, processes, and productivity. Where can people learn more about you and see what you do and get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can go to my website, the number 3 sparrowses.com. And I've actually got a free gift for your listeners. So if they go to 3sparrowses.com/framework, they'll be able to download a PDF. They don't even have to leave their email. They can download the PDF completely free. They'll see the 3-part framework that we talked about today, and also give them a 3-part assessment, a very high-level basic assessment that makes them see, okay, maybe I need help in this area. Maybe I need a fractional executive to come in and help me. Or maybe that they see that they're doing great. So that's there for them. Plus, on that same document, they can schedule a free meeting with me to talk about strategy. And so they can go to 3sparrowses.com/framework. And then from there, they can connect with me on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you, Ryan, for joining me. And I love that you actually giving that report basically without opting in. That's Sometimes I do think about that and do that. That's very important. And not everything that you need to give people more and make it easier a lot of time. And this is basically kind of the things that are kind of relevant to what we are talking about here. So thank you for joining me and really enjoyed this one.
You're welcome, Hussein. Thanks so much for having me.